We will now highlight the assembly of the Unicam ST-compatible connector onto a 3mm single fiber cable without using the continuity test set. We will demonstrate the assembly using the TKT Unicam toolkit. Complete assembly, including fiber preparation, takes less than 2 minutes. Prepare the installation tool for use by flipping the crimp handle up into the open position and moving the wrench handle to the upright or vertical position. Next, ensure that the connector carriage is oriented with the narrow opening facing the wrench handle. Take the Unicam connector package and inspect it to ensure that the connector fiber type matches the fiber type of the cable to be terminated. Due to the fiber stub within the Unicam connector, this must match in order to get the desired results. Flip the connector package over, noting that the fiber preparation instructions are incorporated on the package. To remove the connector from the package, grasp the perforated edge and pull. This will prevent damage to the instructions. After taking the Unicam connector from the package, remove and discard the rubber cap from the rear of the connector. Examine the connector to make sure it is in the open or uncammed position. On Unicam ST-compatible connectors, the cam is in the open position when the rib on the cam is oriented 90 degrees from the inscription up on the ferrule dust cap of the connector. The connector will not fit into the tool unless it is in the uncammed position. Pull the winged slide of the Unicam connector tool back to the end of its travel and insert the Unicam connector lead-in tube into the wrench area of the tool, ensuring that the connector faces up as indicated by the up inscription on the dust cap. There may be some resistance at this point. Some minor adjustments of the connector body should allow the connector to snap into place. Note, the lead-in tube should rest on the crimp platform as shown when the connector is fully inserted into the tool. Slowly allow the winged slide to retract toward the wrench handle and guide the ferrule dust cap into the carriage. Do not attempt to force the connector into the tool. If it does not slide into the tool easily, check to make sure the wrench handle is up, the cam is in the open position, and the connector is oriented properly. Slide the 3mm boot small end first down the 3mm cable and out of the way. Using the supplied fiber stripping card or connector bag, measure and mark 40mm and 51mm from the end of the cable's outer jacket. Strip off the 40mm section using the 16-gauge opening of the buffer stripping tool. Note, the 16-gauge opening is recommended for all Corning Cable Systems 3mm cable. Next, trim the aramid yarn with scissors flush with the end of the cable jacket. Strip off the remaining jacket to the second mark at 51mm. Blow on the aramid yarn to aid in fanning it out. Pull the yarn back over the cable jacket and slide the crimp ring about 5mm over the yarn to hold it out of the way. Now measure and mark the 900 micron fiber buffering 10mm from the end of the 3mm cable jacket. Place an additional mark at the interface of the jacket and 900 micron buffering. Remove the 900 micron buffering to the 10mm mark with the fiber stripping tool. Thanks to the use of Corning Cable Systems' patented TB2 coating on tight buffered cables, the buffering is extremely easy to remove, which reduces the chances of damaging or breaking the fiber during the stripping process. Next, be sure to remove the 250 micron coating that rests beneath the 900 micron tight buffered layer. If you fail to do this, then the cleaving tool will not successfully cleave the bare fiber, and the connector will fail. Limit the number of passes with the stripping tool to 1 pass when stripping the 250 micron coating. Additional passes on the glass can cause excess abrasion of the fiber surface, which could weaken the glass. Clean the bare fiber with 2 passes of an alcohol wipe. Be careful not to touch the fiber after cleaning it. Check the location of the mark at the interface of the buffer and jacket after stripping to ensure that the buffer has not pulled out of the jacket. If necessary, work the buffer back into its original position in the jacket. To properly cleave the fibers for insertion into the Unicam ST-compatible connector, use the cleaver supplied with the TKT Unicam connector toolkit. To load the fiber into the cleaver, press down on the handle to open the cleaver's fiber clamp. With your other hand, place the fiber into the cleaver's fiber guide so that the end of the fiber is under the fiber clamp and the end of the 900 micron fiber coating touches the positive stop bumper on the leaf spring. This will ensure that the correct cleave length is obtained. Do not flex the fiber guide at this time. After verifying that the fiber is straight, gently release the handle to lower the clamp onto the bare fiber. Press down the cleaver arm until it just touches the fiber and leaf spring. This will apply enough pressure to properly score the fiber. Gently release the cleaver arm. Flex the leaf spring to cleave the fiber. It is critical that the cleaver arm be released before the bending motion of the leaf spring is used to break the fibers. Bending the leaf spring while the blade is in contact with the fiber can result in poor cleaves. The fiber is now ready for insertion into the connector. Press down on the cleaver's handle to once again lift the fiber clamp. Remove the scrap piece of fiber with tweezers and dispose of properly. Carefully insert the 3mm cable into the Unicam connector tool's fiber index by depressing the release button. Make sure the fiber is fully seated between the rollers before releasing the button. While pulling the 3mm cable through the rollers, carefully insert the cleaved fiber into the lead-in tube of the connector. Try to prevent the tip of the field fiber from touching any of the hardware on the assembly tool or the lead-in tube. It is very easy to damage the field fiber end face. When inserting the fiber into the lead-in tube of the connector, do not force the fiber forward if you feel resistance. This will break the field fiber, causing the connector to fail. If you feel resistance, back up and try again. You should be able to feel the firm contact of the fibers touching. Once the fibers touch, do not reseat the fiber against the stub. This may cause attenuation increases. Then give the rollers a slight turn to put a small bow in the 3mm cable. This bow is important in helping to keep the field fiber and the fiber stub touching. Rotate the wrench past 90 degrees to cam the connector. Carefully flip the crimp handle 180 degrees until it contacts the crimp tube. Push down firmly on the crimp handle to secure the 900 micron buffering. Do not be concerned with over-crimping here. There is a positive stop on the crimp handle that will prevent the possibility of over-crimping the lead-in tube. Flip the crimp handle open. A flat impression should be visible on the crimp tube. It is important that the connector is properly crimped to ensure that the specified amount of strain relief is achieved. To remove the connector from the installation tool, depress the release button on the fiber index and remove the fiber from the rollers. Then pull back on the slider to release the connector and pull it straight up and out of the tool. Use care not to pull on the fiber. Hold the cable and slide the crimp ring back along the cable jacket to free the aramid yarn. Flare the yarn around the back of the connector. The ends of the yarn should just touch the back of the square cam. If the yarn is too long, trim it now. Hold the connector and push the crimp ring over the aramid yarn and against the back of the connector's cam. Open the crimp tool and place the back of the connector into the opening of the crimp tool jaws. Crimp the ring onto the connector by squeezing the tool handles until they release. Remove the connector from the crimp tool. Slide the boot into place over the connector by grasping the connector dust cap and sliding the boot forward. It is recommended to clean the connector end face aggressively with the alcohol pad prior to installation into the patch panel. This concludes this section.